Hello, guys. So our grammar lesson today is about the encyclopedia. Now, as I explained to the students in class today, an encyclopedia is a book that most people don't use anymore. It's something that I used when I was young because we didn't have the internet to search for information. We used to have to go to the library and use books to find the information that we wanted to know. So one of those books that we used was called an encyclopedia. And that encyclopedia was a reference book, meaning it contained a lot of information and lots of articles on many different subjects. And we used to use it when we had to look up information to learn about something. Like say, for instance, our teacher gave us a report to do about tigers. We would go to the library and take the encyclopedia for the letter T, and we would look up tigers, and we would read about it, and that's how we would write our report. We would use the information that we got from the encyclopedia and other books at the library to write. Nowadays, if you want to learn about something, you just type it into Google, you read your information, and you take your notes from there. But again, when I was a little girl, we used to look up in the encyclopedia. Now, this is not a great picture, but you'll be able to see it in your book better. I'm on page 452 in the language arts textbook. This is what we call a set of encyclopedias. And the set is not very clear, but there are 22 books in the set. So if you can see, each yellow line of writing that you see is a separate book. They are numbered from 1 to 22 on the spine of the book, which is the back part here that closes it, keeps it all together. There are letters written on the books as well, and those letters tell you which letters are included in each volume. For instance, here we have, I can't see it very well, but let's say, I know number 17 on here, number 14. I know 11, 12, 13, 17, 16, number 15. Number 15 here has the letter N and O inside. So it has two letters. Anything that starts with N that there's an article about is in this book, and anything that starts with O that there's an article about is in this book. So each one has the letters for the topics that are inside, what they start with, and each one has a number. The last book, which is number 22 here, is what we call an index. The index lists all the articles from all the books in ABC order. Just like the dictionary is in ABC order, the index here is in ABC order. And it lists all the topics that are talked about inside the encyclopedias. So this way, if you want to look, you can go here, look up the topic, find which volume and which page number, and go find the information. Now, the easiest way, and the way that most people do it when using an encyclopedia, is they just grab the letter that they need because the letters are on the outside. So if what you're looking up starts with letter M, then here number 14 has all of the articles that start with letter M. Okay, this is a page, an example from an encyclopedia. Just like we have guide words in a dictionary, we have guide words in an encyclopedia that have the words at the top of the page to help you find the article that you want. Sometimes, but not always, there's a pronunciation guide to tell you how to say the word that you are looking up. The entry word, just like in the dictionary, is the title of the article, or in our case in the dictionary, the word that we are looking up. So whenever we are looking up information in an encyclopedia, we use the first letter of the name of what we're looking up. For instance, if I want to look up tigers, I would look under letter T. If I want to look up Africa, I would look under letter A. If I want to look up monkeys, I would look under letter M. If I wanted to look up New York City, I would look under letter N. Okay, so it's the first letter, Egypt, letter E. Okay, it's the first letter of what you're looking up, unless it's a person's name. Whenever it's a person's name, you look under the person's last name. So for instance, if we were looking up George Washington, we would look under Washington. If we were looking up Abraham Lincoln, we would look under Lincoln. If we were looking up Martin Luther King, we would look up King. Okay, so the last name of the person whenever you're speaking about a person. Otherwise, it's the first letter of whatever you're looking up. Okay, again, a couple of examples. If we were looking up buses, we would look up B. If we were looking up monsters, we would look up M. If we were looking up Sudan, we would look under letter S. If we were looking up Messi, we would use his last name, Lionel Messi. Messi is his last name under letter M. If we were looking up Amr Diab, we would use his last name and we would look under letter D for Diab, okay? All right. Now, I did explain to the students today, I don't think that this is something you will use very often, but why do I think it's important for you to know? One of the reasons that I think it's really important for you to know what an encyclopedia is you never know when you're going to hear the word again. Like for instance, what if you go to college for your entry exam and the question on your entry exam says, explain how students who use Google to look up information is different from how students who used used encyclopedias to look up information. You would need to know what an encyclopedia is. Okay, so for me, that's the purpose of you needing to know what the word is, just the knowledge of knowing what the word means, because you never know when you're going to see that word again. Like I said, you most likely will use Google or some other search engine for the rest of your life when looking up information. But if you ever are asked a question about what an encyclopedia is or how it was used, it's good to have some idea of that and know the vocabulary word. Okay, so I'm more interested in you knowing what it is and how it was used than I am with you knowing how to use it, because I don't think that you will use it very often. All right, now I'm gonna pop this back down. If I was an online student, I would pause the video right now and I would do practice workbook page 95, which just has you matching up the encyclopedias to the topics. I would do it just to make sure I understood how I would look up the information. Remember, there's two important rules. When you look up a topic, you use the first letter of that topic. When you look up a person's name, you use the first letter of that person's last name. Okay, so I'd pause, I'd try to answer those questions, and I'd come back and check out and see if I did well or not. Okay. So if you're going to pause and do it now, and we'll come back and check the answers together. Okay, guys, so this is page 95 in the practice workbook, and it's quite simple. Here's a picture of a set of encyclopedias. Remember, we said the last one is the index, and these are the letters on the spines of the book to tell you which topics are included in each book, and these are the numbers, okay? These numbers help you to keep the books in order. The letters tell you which topics you would find inside. All right, let's explain these answers together. We have here Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar was a famous warrior. He's connected to Alexandria here in Egypt. Although he's not an Egyptian, his story is connected to the town of Alexandria. His last name is Caesar, that starts with the letter C. If we look here, we see that we have letter C in volumes 3 and 4. There are so many topics on letter C, they split them into 2 books. So in the first book, we have anything that starts from the letter C down to CH. And we have in the second book from CI to CZ. Okay, so CA would come in the first book before CH. CA comes in the alphabet before CH. So it would be volume 3. How tornadoes form. If I wanted to learn about tornadoes and how they form, I would look up the word tornadoes. So I would look in volume 19. Volume 19 is letter T. The next one is oceanography. Oceanography is the study of the ocean. I would look in volume 14 because O is in 14. And 14 is N and O in this set. Famous battles of the Civil War. Now, if I wanted to learn about the battles that happened in the Civil War, I would look up the Civil War because it's going to tell me all about what happened in the Civil War, including the battles. If I was to look up battles, it would give me every battle, not just the ones in the Civil War. Okay, so we have here volume 4, because we're looking up civil CI, and that comes in 4. How the brain works. If I want to know about the brain, I'm going to look up brain. I find that in volume 2 under the letter B. Okay. All right. Now, at the bottom here, it says, write an entry for something interesting you found in the following encyclopedias. So we didn't go to the library and look at the encyclopedias. We just thought of what we would find if we were looking in a book, something interesting that started with each letter. I don't remember exactly what we said in class, but if I remember them, I will say them for you. And if not, we'll make up others. For instance, if we were in the letter A, we could find Africa, we could find Argentina, we could find apples, we could find antelopes, we could find alligators, okay, for instance. Letter B. In letter B, I could look up, one of the students today said Biden, which is great. That's the president, so we would find an article about him. One of the students said Big Bang Theory, which is also great. That's a theory about how the earth and planets were formed. We could also look up something like bananas. We could also look up something like buffalo. Okay. Letter H, we could look up Holland, which is a country. We could look up Hawaii, which is a state. We could look up horses, one of the girls said today. Okay, all of these would be found under H. J and K, we could look up Jupiter. We could look up Kenya. We could look up jelly beans. We could look up kites, okay? Both of those are in the same volume, J and K. Letter M, we could look up Mars. We could look up money. We could look up magnets, okay? Q and R, we could look up quarters. We could look up quilts. We could look up quails, which are birds. We could look up rainforest. We could look up Russia, which I think is an example we gave today. In S to SN, we could look up snakes. One of the boys said today. We could look up Senegal, which is a country. We could look up South Africa. We could look up soups around the world, okay? Oh no, sorry, soups would be here in SO. All right, moving on down to SO, we could look up soups. We could look up maybe we could look up, oh, this one's kind of hard. SO, PQRSR, SST, Actually, we could look up the sun. We could look up the solar system. Okay. U and V, we could look up umbrellas. We could look up violins. We could look up Uranus. We could look up Venus. Here in W, X, Y, and Z, we could look up the water cycle. We could look up xylophones. We could look up yo-yos. And we could look up, one of the boys said, zebras. Okay. All right. So that's about it for encyclopedias. Again, I told you, what's most important is that you know it was used as a source of information where people would look up information to find out about topics that they didn't know. It includes many, many articles about many, many different topics. Those articles are listed in an index in alphabetical order, ABC order, just like the ABC, so that it's easy for you to find. The numbers and the letters are on the spine of the book. Two ways to look them up. One, when it's a topic, we use the first letter of the topic. Two, when it's a person's name, we use the first letter of the person's last name. Okay? All right, guys. See you again. Bye-bye.